Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm good, David. How are you?
I'm very good. I want my $2. I love it.
Oh, thank you. I had a feeling you might.
That's like the classic Cusack film line, isn't it? Is that what I'm assuming it's based on, right?
I'm glad you recognize it. I find that people of us under a certain age don't tend to get it very often, but
us old fogies, we get it.
Exactly. Well, it's not exactly what I was trying to say, but yeah.
No. It's great. It's so fun. I was such a huge fan of the Cusack, comedies back then.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like that's like, that's an example of just like brilliant acting in. Well, I mean, I thought they were brilliant films, but they were definitely sort of something that would not be seen as big acting pieces. But
right.
Yeah, comedy's tough, and he was amazing in those.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about Debug. Before we do that, do you mind terribly if I heap some lavish praise on you?
Hey,
would that be okay?
I'm more than happy to start with lavish praise. I'm totally fine.
Okay. So a couple of this may be the most random interview you have today. So first of all, I love the movie.
I like random.
Congratulations on that. Second of all, our birthdays are one day apart. I thought that was kind of cool.
So happy younger.
Birthday. A little younger, but not much.
A little younger.
And thirdly, I'm a huge fan of A Dog's Breakfast, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, briefly.
Oh, fantastic! You know what? Still my favorite movie.
It's a great movie.
That one is just that. It's just so it's like watching yourself on film. I mean, it was. Anyways, yes, I love that film, and it was just a wonderful process.
Excellent. And also, you were one of my earliest interviews way back in the day, before the site was called IWantMy2$.com, and you were awesome in that interview, and I've always been a big fan. So anyway, that's all my praise.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry I don't remember. What was that for?
No, it was like 7 years ago, and it was a different website name. It was called DVD Snapshot back then. I wouldn't believe me. That was not my intention. I just want to tell you that it's cool I get to interview you again, because you were one of my favorite interviews from like my early days. So I was excited to talk to you again because you're
great.
awesome.
Well, good. I'm so glad. I'm glad he's coming back for more. It's always a good sign.
Absolutely. So let's get to some questions.
Well, thank you very much. Look, you should start all interviews like that with everybody, because you're basically.
I set the bar high.
Nothing but good. What was that?
So quickly tell us the brief synopsis of Debug for people who haven't seen it yet.
Right. Yes. Debug, or Debug, as everyone seems to say it different ways. So Debug basically sort of is a future where cyber crimes have become such sort of a non-event that they are punished by the most almost janitorial-like corrections facility punishment. So basically, a bunch of these guys, lads and ladies, get sent off to these old, decrepit, frankly quite dangerous old ships, and their job is to go in and basically fix the plumbing, like it's fix the IT plumbing in these things, and clean them out so they can be recommissioned or pulled apart for scrap or whatever it is they end up having with these old ships. So our group, of course, show up on the ship and discover that they have this old. They have this old prison ship, basically, and the artificial intelligence that's been running it has absolutely no intention of giving itself up to what it sees as basically petty criminals.
Mm-hmm.
And hilarity ensues.
Yes. Oh, it's the last minute.
Destruction, paranoia. We got it all.
So you seem to make a film every few years. You did The Dog's Breakfast, and you did Rage of the Yeti, and then this is the first one that you've acted, or you've written and directed, but you haven't acted in. So I was just kind of curious, about how it all came about and how you made that decision, and sort of what the process was for putting it together.
Well, it was partially made for me. I mean, we originally were going to do this film for much, much less. I mean, we wanted to do a shoestring science fiction, like just down and dirty, shoot it in an old factory type thing, and make it for nothing. And I was going to be the artificial intelligence. That was that was a way to keep costs down. I had it would add a name of a certain level to a small film, and we were going to try to go that approach. But then the script went out, and people started liking it, and we started getting like offers on this script. And the budget went up, and I just felt in discussions with producers and distributors and stuff and they felt that we needed a bigger name for a film like this. And I'm really big on, I like to think I understand the way, the finance side of stuff works on this industry. I mean, it is a business. And so I, somewhat reluctantly agreed to that. And then we were lucky enough with Jason. I mean, a lot of names were being bandied about. I was saying like, hey, wait a second. I don't know who these people are. No one's going to give it, there's a lot of names out there. As the name game is the most ridiculous part of the process to me, where
sure.
unless you've got like Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks or,
right.
someone of that caliber, it doesn't make a difference who's in your movie. But
right.
Of the names that came up, I threw out Jason as one because I felt he was someone who we could possibly get. I thought he was a wonderful sort of departure from the what could be a rather sort of stereotypical approach to the artificial intelligence. I mean, if you're going to be an artificial intelligence and you want to make yourself look like anybody, if it's a choice between making himself look like me or Jason Momoa, I would go with Jason Momoa. So, I think
fair.
And as my wife so beautifully puts it, he's animal playing mineral. Like it's such a strange sort of take on artificial intelligence, and I really wanted to play with that. Like when Jason was kind enough to agree to do it, and he was a coup. I mean, like we would never be able to have afforded him. We would never have got him if I hadn't been lucky enough to work with him on Atlantis, and if I wasn't lucky enough to have him as a friend. I mean,
right.
and he did us a huge favor by doing it. And he, to me, he was the one I sort of got behind as well, because I felt like he's a name. Like I understand, like I get that people will go and see movies for Jason. There's some great, incredibly talented actors out there that were being thrown around, and I was like, yeah, but no one's going to go to a movie for them. They'll go for Jason,
right. Absolutely.
And so, as I say, we were very, very lucky to get him, and I thought we should sort of jump at that chance and give him a chance to do something different, because he's
I thought
so
it was definitely a departure for him.
It isn't. I mean, it's totally different. Like no one would expect Jason, in that kind of a role, or if he was in that kind of a role, you'd think him to be much less playful. And he's a very playful, very funny, very talented, very passionate filmmaker and artist himself. I mean, he's an extraordinary guy, and I don't think people don't know him like that. I mean, they know him as sort of stoic, barbarian kind of types. And this was a chance for me to show him off for the funny, strange, quirky guy that he is.
Right. It's interesting that you said that you were play.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, that was perfect. And actually, you answered another question, too, so that was great. It's interesting that you said you were going to play the AI at first, because with Hewlett's character, I noticed a lot of, shall we say, Hewlettism to him. And I thought maybe that was sort of for, putting yourself into it a little bit.
That is so funny you should say that, because I didn't notice it at all. My wife pointed out. She said, you just hired a young version of you. And I was like, well, he's not that much younger, is he?
That is kind of what I thought.
Sorry, my wife is in the background laughing at me. Yeah, Care. I mean, I think as a director, I've always. It's so funny that I didn't notice this, because as an actor, I've always seen this, where you walk into a room, and in a way, part of the job of getting a job is finding out what the director's type is. You know what I mean?
Right.
It sounds a bit crass and a bit Machiavellian, but the reality is you're looking to find a personality hook that's going to work. And often people like Vincenzo Natali is a great example. I mean, I work with Vincenzo Natali all the time because I am, poor Vincenzo. I'm kind of him on film, if that makes sense. But and a lot of the directors I've worked with and parts that I've got are because I think, there's a connection between you and the director. So, I think Care is. Honestly, I think Care is one of the best performances in the show too. I think he's just a wonderful, sort of understated, talented young actor, and I think a writer as well. Actually, I think he's doing some writing as well.
Oh, cool.
We were very pleased to have him on the show.
Sure. Now,
sorry to interrupt. Last question, please.
Okay. Well then, I guess I'll wrap it up with an easy one then. So what else? What's next for you? What else can we look forward to?
Oh, such a loaded question. This is where I go off on a whole other tangent. I have got this documentary called Upgrade Required that I'm working on, and I've never made a documentary before. I didn't even think of doing it. My wife suggested it, and she'll be producing and co-directing with me on it. And basically, it's about this kid I've met who has a form of muscular dystrophy, so he's basically unable to move. I mean, he has some limited ability with his hands still, but basically, he can't move at all. He's stuck in bed, and instead of sitting there doing nothing, he has actively started going out trying to recruit people to turn him into a cyborg, to allow him to move around, to allow him access to technology that will basically not make him human. Like, that's the whole thing. He doesn't want to be human. He wants to be more than human. He wants to become this cyborg thing. And I thought, wow, what a unique, inspiring, great thing for us to use as a jumping off point for exploring all the new sort of biotech and technologies and approaches to technology and medicine that's out there. And in doing so, I've discovered that he's not alone. There's a lot of these people in the same kind of situation who have been forced, due to circumstances and disease or accidents or whatever is causing their disabilities. And we're looking at a future where disabilities may be rendered obsolete technology. And so I want to do like a science fiction that happens to be true about this rise of the cyborgs. And because I welcome our computer overlords. And so it should be a really fun process because it's going to tie in visual effects. We've got Bob Monroe, who's sort of renowned for his visual effects work he's on The Expanse right now doing that. He's done X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked with all sorts of people. And Tim Williams is back for the music score and stuff. So it's going to be a really interesting and sort of inspiring project. And I'm just so looking forward to getting out there and grabbing the camera and doing some more shooting and stuff. Because it's a film with a heart and with a purpose and I'm a big documentary fan, so I thought it was about time I started doing that kind of thing.
Great. Well, it sounds fantastic. Awesome. Well, I know we're out of time, but David, it was a pleasure talking to you again. Thank you very much.
Oh, God, likewise, man. Yeah, all the best with it. I appreciate very much you caring.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. All right, we'll talk to you again, hopefully.
All right. Thanks again, Mike.